And Leland, of course, let's start with your big picture takeaways from the Trump-Putin summit.
Well, Ryan, good morning. It wouldn't be a Monday morning without you, so I'm glad to know the weekend is now officially over.
Boy, I just thought about that. You have to start your week with me every week. That is a rough way to talk about diving into the deep end.
Yeah, I told your producer, though, it always seems to get better.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
It can't go downhill.
Yeah, it can't go downhill from talking to me. So, yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, you just got a little more time to talk to Dana McKay, then life would be better. But my takeaway, since you asked, we can keep going with the comedy routine if you want, but since you asked, my big takeaway is we don't know. And I know that no one on TV likes to say that because it's not a hot take and it doesn't, score any points against the other side, but we don't know. Donald Trump is going to be judged not by whether there is a deal, but by what the deal is. Mm-hmm. And what the deal is really matters. And that is a different standard. And you keep hearing, especially from those on the right, praying for peace, praying for the killing to stop. All valid and important objectives. But how the killing stops and what the peace looks like and how the peace is enforced are really important. Really important. And I wonder if we are not, at least in the moment right now, losing sight of that.
Yeah, not just important, I think, for this conflict, but important for, the future of global stability. Now, I want to go back to what President Trump was hoping to get out of this summit, because when we're judging the summit, I think it's important to keep that in mind. He wanted to get a ceasefire. He was saying he'd be disappointed if he didn't get a ceasefire out of the meeting, and he wanted to set up a trilateral meeting between him, Putin, and Zelensky. He didn't get either, at least not immediately. It doesn't look like the ceasefire is happening. But, maybe after today's meeting, they can get a trilateral meeting done. Putin went in, I think, hoping to accomplish a few things. He wanted to avoid having to do a ceasefire. He wanted to avoid any of the retaliatory measures that Trump had been floating if he didn't agree to a ceasefire. And he wanted to shift pressure back to Ukraine to make some serious concessions in order to reach some kind of a deal. Feels like he accomplished all of that in this meeting.
I think on the surface, true. Again, I don't think we know everything, and I am willing to withhold judgment until the world becomes clearer. If you're President Trump this morning, and this may be an answer to your question, there is a lot more pressure on you to do something. Mm-hmm. What is something? More aid to Ukraine. Actually put on those sanctions onto Vladimir Putin that are actually meaningful and hard. So I think there is a lot more pressure now on Donald Trump than there was before this meeting to prove, for lack of a better term, that he is A, serious, and B, able to deliver on meaningfully punishing Vladimir Putin.
Let me ask you about the optics, and we're joined by News Nation Chief Washington anchor Leland Vittert. You can watch him weeknights at 9 on News Nation. You got the red carpet there. You got Trump clapping as Putin's coming his way. Then they take a ride in the Beast together. And you had some people, they took issue with all of that. We shouldn't be welcoming a dictator and someone as brutal as Vladimir Putin in that way. I get it, but to me, this is how Trump operates. Buttering them up before they negotiate, before they sit down and try to work out some kind of a deal. That's how he does things. So I got to be honest with you, it didn't bother me. And I did think the B-2s flying over. I thought that was a nice little touch. I like that.
I think the B-2 flying over, escorted by F-22s, was a much more powerful message than Trump clapping or a ride in the Beast. And remember, those are the B-2s that hit Iran while they flew past all of Russia's best air defense systems.
The ones that were designed to drop nuclear weapons on the Soviet Union back in the day.
Right.
And as a student of history, I'm sure Putin remembers that.
You could see his body language was a little flustered. Like Trump was kind of like all happy, and then all of a sudden Putin saw the planes, and then he turned and watched him go over the other way and go, oh, okay, that's how this goes. And look, Putin, I actually think Putin probably and his friends probably admired that a little bit.
Yeah.
Remember, Putin is the guy who brought a dog to Angela Merkel's meeting where Angela Merkel hates dogs. So that's the kind of stuff that Putin listens to, because that's his language. So I'm not thoroughly convinced that wasn't a really good thing to do.
And look what Putin said, too. I mean, look, saying that the war probably wouldn't have started if Trump had won in 2020 instead of Biden, saying that, the 2020 election was rigged. And I mean, he was playing right to Trump's, some of the biggest issues that he constantly talks about. It was, strategic and obvious and well done.
Well, and that's who Vladimir Putin is, right? KGB spy master, expert in manipulation, looking for his legacy to restore the Soviet Union. So this is all fairly performative, and that's why I shouldn't say performative, predictable. And I think when we're looking at the answers to all these questions, it's hard to say this because we all want to have answers. The real answer is we'll see, because what a peace looks like, what is required to get there, what are the mechanisms to enforce it, how it comes about really matters.
Well, and that brings us to today, and we're joined by News Nation Chief Washington anchor Leland Vittert. Check out his free War Notes newsletter for more at warnotes.com. I do not see a Zelensky Oval Office meeting going the same way it did last time. I would be really surprised by that. And then I also thought it was notable, you've got the entire European cavalry coming over, just dropping everything and heading to the U.S. For this meeting. So you could see, this is a big monumental day today in the future of this conflict.
Unquestionably. And I would say it's a monumental day in the future of the free world and in how the free world interacts with Russia. And it's a big day in the future of Vladimir Putin's determination to remake the Soviet Union and bring back what he views as the glory days. So there's a lot here.
It's going to be fascinating. Leland's going to have lots of coverage on it, of course, for News Nation. You can watch him weeknights at 9 on Balance with Leland Vittert. And you can check out, again, his War Notes newsletter for a whole lot more at warnotes.com. Leland, even though it's a rough start to your week, always great to talk to you. I enjoy it. So thanks so much for coming back on.
I'm going to get another pot of coffee going.
All right. Talk to you soon. Thanks again.
See you, buddy.